Well, with that, I turn the podium over to Susan Mcfarland.
Well, this is a very joyful group tonight. You guys are
We're joyful.
You are joyful, and I appreciate that. So, for those that don't know me, my name is Susan Mcfarland, and Michael kind of gave you a little introduction, but I have been around the Coptics since like 2008, I think it was. So yeah, I've been here a while. So, yes.
This is a beautiful place. This is lovely.
It is. It's a very beautiful. It's a very joyful place.
I want to come back.
I hope you do. Me too.
Yeah.
So, let's all take a deep breath. Just be in this moment for a second. I want to take a moment to thank John and Nancy for the Coptic Center and for just inviting me here to talk today. And I was telling my dearest friend, Teresa, how things kind of work out and how the universe and spirit takes care of things. And it's kind of what happened with this talk today. So, but first, before I get started on that and telling you a little bit about that, I want to do a little bit of movement. Because starting next week on Sunday, I will have officially graduated from yoga teacher training. So we're going to do a little bit of yoga. But yoga is much more than movement, but we're going to start with a little bit of that. So if you could all sit up in your chairs, your spine straight, which I know you're a great meditator, so you know how to do that. And we're going to start with our feet and go up. So you can either close your eyes, lower your gaze, keep your eyes wide open, whatever works for you. Let's start by taking a deep breath in. And release everything and leave it all out there, whatever we brought here today. Feel your feet very grounded on the floor. Make sure that you just have that awareness of being here, being in this space, being in your body, and just being centered and grounded and balanced. And just keep breathing slowly and steadily. Just be aware of your breath. You don't need to change it or alter it or slow it down or speed it up. Just be aware of it. And then from there, we're going to take our right foot, like a hokey pokey, right? And take the right foot and just kind of take your right foot and make circles with your ankle. To the right, to the left. Our feet help us a lot. They helped us get here today and then put a lot of pressure on them. So just give them a little loving. When we're done with the right foot, we'll take the left foot. Same thing, we'll go to the left. And then the right. Just get a little movement. It's always good to have a little movement every day. If you stop moving, that's not a good thing. All right, so we did our feet. Now we're going to do our legs. So from where you're sitting, if you could lift your right leg up, just lift it up and bring it down. Nothing major. We're not going to do anything intense. Won't work it too hard. And then your left leg. Okay.
I heard a groan.
It's me.
It's Pete back there. Pete, I think you are the most joyful person I know. Honestly, I was just telling Teresa that. So thank you for bringing your joy here today. So we're gonna, I don't know if you can hold on to the side of your chair or like underneath it, and then just stretch to the right, stretch to the left, do little side stretches a couple times. Keep breathing. Stretch it out. Very good. Awesome. You guys are great yogis. Very impressed. From here, we're going to move up to the shoulders. So we're going to roll our shoulders up, down, and back. Roll backward shoulder rolls, and then we'll go forward. Get a lot of tension in our shoulders. And that's where I carry a lot of tension in my shoulders and my neck. So get our shoulders going, and then we'll do hands. So if you put our hands out, and then we'll work on our wrists. And so circles with your wrist to the right, and then to the left. You're going to take your arm up this way. There you go. Very good. some movement going there. And then we're going to move on to our neck. So let's take our neck and we'll take our right ear to our right shoulder. So stretch to the neck on the left side. Stretch the right side. Just roll your neck, your head. Nothing much, just a little bit. So now we're all awake. All right. Thank you, my yogis. I appreciate that. So now we're going to do some ohms. We're going to do 3 ohms. So we're going to take a deep breath in and then ohm, deep breath in, ohm, and then deep breath in, ohm. So if you will, with me, take a deep breath in. You guys are very good omers. So, as I said, I'm just finishing 6 months of teacher training. This journey began probably around 20, 30 years ago, but really Teresa was almost an inspiration to me to kind of, yeah, she really was. And this was a major point of my story because I started doing yoga. I had done yoga in my 20s. I'm not in my 20s anymore. I'm really close to that, but not quite. But then I had children and I was raising children, and then I kind of got away from yoga and I wanted to get back into it, and I started going to yoga at a gym. And Teresa said to me, well, why don't you move on to going to Expressions of Grace? And if anyone's familiar with Expressions of Grace, it's a beautiful yoga studio on Versailles Lake off of like Northland Drive, and it's a beautiful setting. And so I started going there, and I had thought about going to teacher training for a couple of years, but at the time it didn't seem right. But all of a sudden they offered a teacher training, and it was over the summer, and I was busy with life with teenagers, so that was like, oh, can I do this? But I decided to take a chance, and I did it, and I'm graduating next week. And the reason I tell you this story is because of this yoga teacher training, I was able to go to an ashram 2 weeks ago and study with Sadhguru. Is anyone familiar with Sadhguru?
Yeah.
Now, if you've taken self-mastery with Jim, you know about Sadhguru.
Oh, yeah.
And I had heard about Sadhguru, but I didn't know much about Sadhguru, and it didn't really I'm like, oh, that's really good stuff. I like Sadhguru. But my teacher for yoga teacher training is also a devotee of Sadhguru, has been to India to the ashram where Jim Campbell went. So I had this opportunity 2 weeks ago, right at the end of our training, to go to Tennessee. He has an ashram in Tennessee. And it was the spur of the moment, last minute, spontaneous, with going on this trip for the weekend. With 7 other women that were in my class who I knew but didn't know real well, like I'd never spent 3 days with them kind of thing. Not my comfort zone, really. And so I said yes to the universe, just like I said yes when I decided to take teacher training, yoga teacher training. And I said yes to going to the ashram with these people that I didn't know. And I just got back from that, and it was a wonderful experience. And what I want to talk to you about today is just kind of, I was very joyful on that trip. I was very relaxed. It was a very positive environment, much like the Coptics. Sadhguru is much like Hamid Bey. I find a lot of similarities between the teachings of Sadhguru and Hamid Bey, and it really resonated with me. But as part of my training, I had to read a book and take an online course called Inner Engineering. And this was a online course that was 14 hours. It was 7 videos, 2 hours each, with it ending with a meditation. You had to take it. Listen to each video within a chunk of 2 hours. Weren't supposed to take notes. You were supposed to just experience it. And then I read the book, and then I actually listened to the audio tape too, and did a report on this for my class. And this this is kind of what my talk's going to be about. So if you guys want to take a look at this book, and I'm also, Spirit has just told me to offer this book to somebody today, so maybe we'll do a drawing for that book as well. But what I'm going to talk about today is coming from Sadhguru's teachings and from this book and his online course. So that kind of gives you background, but I always like to talk about Hamid Bey while I'm here, because I am a Coptic. And so one of Hamid Bey's quotes on joy is from lesson 22. The more you enjoy life, the better it is, for joy is harmonious rhythm, and the whole purpose is for rhythm of joy and happiness on every level, in every condition. So I could do a whole talk about Hamid Bey and joy, because I started looking up that stuff, and there's a lot there. So I would encourage you to, if you have Hamid Bey's CD online, type in the word joy and see how many things come up, because there's a lot of stuff on that. But I want to talk about inner engineering and what that means. So Sadhguru says the way out is in. It's a very simple statement, and we talk a lot about it here. But what does that mean? The way out is in. So the way to joy is found by going inward. Yoga is about removing the obstacles that block our joy. So what is yoga? Yoga, you did a little bit of yoga, but yoga is much more than poses. Yoga can be concentration, which we teach in self-mastery. It is meditation. It is a spiritual practice. It is coming from a place of nonviolence. It's also a place of contentment, which to me is joy. So yoga is many things. So in the West, when we talk about yoga, we think about doing funny poses and standing on our head. But that's really not what it's about. It's really about having a spiritual practice and living a life in a spiritual way. What is a guru? So Sadhguru, what does that mean? A guru is a person that dispels darkness. So that's the person that brings light to us. So he's going to offer his wisdom and kind of turn things around a little bit and make you think, like, I've always thought this way, but maybe I should think of something this way, like changing perspectives. Sadhguru likes to say that truth is timeless, but gurus are contemporary. So I find that Hamid Bey was probably a contemporary guru. Would we agree with that? I don't know. John, would you agree with that Hamid Bey was a guru?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So he was a dispeller of darkness, and he was a contemporary. But his truth is timeless, and Sadhguru's truth is timeless. So examples of how Sadhguru thinks differently than perhaps some of the current teachings. He believes that we can only live in the now because there's no other place. So we are here, right now, right here. We're not somewhere else. This is the only place we can be, and that's where we are. And so to be in that place, in that space, and are we all here today?
Yep.
Yes, we're all present, we're all aware, we're all alert. The other thing that he's kind of different from some other people's teaching is that we are capable of doing more than one thing at a time. I always like to think that I was, taskmaster. I could do multiple things at once. I guess as a mother, you are that way. Yes.
That, I see things in that crystal.
Yes.
I see things in my mind like it's vibrating.
It's beautiful, isn't it? That is
Yes,
my
it is.
birthstone. The amethyst. This is my
Nice.
birthstone, which I
What
love
month is
that.
that?
February. Yeah. So I love that amethyst. Thank you for sharing that.
Beautiful.
It is. So, where were we? Current messages. You can do more than one thing at a time. It's okay. We all do it anyways, right? So, a little bit about Sadhguru's history is he had a moment. He was always a different child. He never liked to go to school. He liked to go sit out in the woods and watch nature. So I think that could be why I resonate with him, because I like to sit and watch trees. And he had a moment when he was in his 20s, when he came to the realization that he was one with everything. So he had this realization of unity, of oneness, that he was a part of everything and everything was a part of him. And I think, Chad, you touched on this in your talk, which was perfect. He says everything humans desire is actually expansion, and you said that was growth. And it was basically just totally in line with what his teachings are, so thank you for sharing that. So everything that we do, everything we desire is about our expansion, about our growth, right? We're always growing and striving. Linda's working on new music challenges, and I'm working on yoga teacher training, and we're all just, I'm sure you guys are very much involved in growing and expanding and learning, or else you wouldn't be here, right? So that's what it's all about. Another thing he talks about is, as humans right now, we are the most comfortable we've ever been. We have all of our needs met. We have electricity. We have heat. We have pretty much, most of us have food, not everyone, but for the most part we do here in the West. But we're not the most joyful. And you see this when you go to third world countries. My daughter's from Guatemala. I see this in Guatemala with the kids that have nothing, that don't even have families, that barely have enough food, but they're happy, they're joyful. They live in a state of joy. So we see it's not the things we do or the things that we have that are bringing us joy, but it's actually who we are, right? We search for joy on the outside. So how many times have we searched for joy in the latest gadget, maybe some food that we like, drugs and alcohol? That's the state that we're in right now, where people are searching for this joy in the outside world, but that's not where it's found. It's found inside. It's found in fixing our inner conditions, and we do that through meditation. So the right things need to be done for the right things to happen. Joy is not the end goal in life. We don't want to live this life so that we reach this joy at the end, right? Joy needs to be a state that we are in constantly. Like, that's who we are. Joy is the basis of life. It is what's woven into our life. It's not an end goal, something to reach when we get to be 99 years old or something. In staying joyful on our spiritual quest, we can handle challenges. We can be peaceful. We need to lose our identity with our body, mind, and all creations. We create a borderless unity. So right now there's a lot of division in the world between black and white, Christian and Muslim, male and female, you name it. Michigan State. Go green, sorry.
I'm a Spartan fan.
Me too.
Hey.
Awesome. So there's a lot of division with these identities. If we lose our identity, then we become united. So he's saying drop the identities, lose that identity that you have with this label that you put on yourself. He talks about being in the world instead of interacting with it. So you can interact with the world, that's more of a transaction, but actually being in the world and being in the space of the world. I think about, when you're at Meijer shopping or something, and you're talking to the cashier and you're saying her name or talking to her, that's being with that person instead of just having an interaction with that person and maybe not even acknowledging, her existence or his existence. So by turning inward, we can master any problem and take responsibility for it. A conscious response to any situation is taking responsibility. Sadhguru loves to talk about responsibility, and it is the ability to respond. That is your freedom. When we react, that is enslavement. So when we take that responsibility upon ourselves as to how we want to respond to a situation, that is true freedom. And all it requires is awareness. Yoga is about unity. It is the alignment of our energy bodies. So we have multiple energy bodies in our system. And yoga brings those all together, mental, physical, spiritual. From here, our ability to respond flows out of a balanced state. So when you're in a state of chaos, how is your ability to respond? Are you reacting? Or are you responding? When you come from a calm, peaceful state, you have a much better ability to respond. And so from there, we're going to talk about our body is a focal point in yoga because that was the first thing we knew as children. It is the source of creation and the essence of life. It is from here that joy comes. So your body can be a place of joy. We waver from preserving it to expanding it. So in yoga, we do a lot of contraction and extension, right? You contract or you extend. And that's what we're doing in life. Sometimes we're extending and sometimes we're contracting. I know as an introvert, I go in different states where I want to be social, but then the next day I want to hide in my house, which is expansion and contraction. It goes back and forth. The body can help us with this. Yoga prepares the body for meditation and eventually service. So we are very much about service here at the Coptics, and yoga is a good way to prepare yourself for that. So let's talk about the earth. We are all part of the earth. Anything that happens to the earth happens to us and affects us. We are mostly water. We all know this, right? So as the earth is affected by what's going on, we are affected. We know this with the cycles and the moon cycles and that sort of thing. Yoga helps to stabilize the earth cycles and transcend our compulsive patterns. Moving on to the body and what we eat. Do you ask your body what it wants to eat?
Yes.
Or does your tongue ask your body when it wants to eat? We just got off of Halloween and Halloween candy. I have too much Halloween candy at my house because I didn't have enough kids come to my door. So yes. So ask the body what it wants to eat. If you want to know what you should eat, you don't need to read a book. You don't need to watch a YouTube video. You don't need to ask your friend, what do you like to eat? Ask your body what it likes to eat. What my body likes to eat and what Teresa's body likes to eat are different things, and that's okay. There's some very healthy foods that I can't eat. We just need more attention, awareness, and observation regarding the foods and less information. So sleep, let's talk about sleep. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, even though we had a time change, because my daughter was she's in color guard for Rockford bands, and they were in Detroit last night until 9, 10 o'clock, and I picked her up at school at 1:30 in the morning. So they won state championships, so yay. It was a fun day. It was a joyful day. It's very joyful, but it was a late day and didn't get a lot of sleep. But Sadhguru says you don't need more sleep. And I'm like, what? I need more sleep, really? Like I'm a mom of teenagers. I need more sleep. But he says if you maintain a relaxed state throughout the day, then you will need less sleep. And I see that as I am becoming more of a balanced, stable person and not reacting and not getting anxious about this and that if I keep myself balanced, that I'm not getting as tired and my energy levels are more stable, and I don't need as much sleep. Although I need probably more than most people. The best moments are when we are just being. So are we just being right now? Yoga helps clear the space between our mind and ourselves. Releasing our identity, our mind becomes an empty vessel. Intellect hinders the experience of oneness. So our intellect stops us from that state of oneness. We lose joy when we are lost in a thought. Have you ever ruminated over a thought? And you forget where you are and what day it is and what moment it is, and you're losing your joy. Like things could be happening around you and you're like, I just missed 5 minutes because I was upset about this or ruminating about that. That's when joy is lost. So alertness is about doing, but awareness is about who we are. Knowledge is finite. We like to gather knowledge. We have books here that are very knowledgeable, but knowing is infinite, right? That's the difference. Yoga helps move us to this cosmic intelligence, this knowing. Believing is assuming something unknown. Seeking is realizing it is actually unknown. So do you have beliefs or are you seeking? So my beliefs have changed over the years. I grew up in a Presbyterian background. They're not quite the same anymore. They've changed. I'm still seeking. I continually seek. I came here to seek. I'm seeking constantly. So be in a state of seeking. We are one person. There's no separation between heart and head. The mind is logical and emotional. So what does that mean? So we talk about heart and head, but there's no difference. There's not a heart and a head. It's one body. You are heart and head together. It is about oneness. There are two paths to yoga. One is becoming everything, and one is becoming nothing. Think about that for a minute. Sadhguru says, drop attachments to ideas and beliefs that create and experience life in the moment. So are our beliefs keeping us attached to something? If we drop those attachments, we can experience life as it's actually happening. Love is who we are, not something we do. If love necessitates a condition, it becomes a transaction. Love is not convenient. It is an investment in ourselves. He likes to say, become an explorer and experiencer of life. Dissolve assistance. Yoga is about the experience. So I went to the ashram with my friends. We made it down there. We drove in the car for a lot of hours. And I made it to see Sadhguru. But when you see Sadhguru, you can't take notes. You can't take video. You just have to be in the experience. You just have to be there and take in the energy and experience the moment. And it's just a beautiful thing. Joyfully performing tasks provides freedom. Doing only what we like is bondage. I was joyfully folding laundry at 5 o'clock tonight before I came here. Because life has to happen, right? Like, I still need to get the laundry done even though I'm speaking tonight. So I was reminded that I'm joyfully folding laundry. Yes. So, karma is an outward action, which is enslavement. So karma is anything we do, physical or outward action. We talk a lot about karma. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Kriya. Has anyone heard the term Kriya before?
Yoga.
Yeah, Kriya Yoga. So that's an inward action. It's a non-physical action that brings us inside. Beyond the bliss and freedom of suffering, stillness is found. At the bottomless abyss, a boundless freedom is located. The goal of yoga is to drop the load and discard everything on the way. Stand tall and pick it up again. So as we're evolving and growing and expanding through life, we try new things, we have new experiences, but we're not attached to them. So we move this way and go with the universe, but not to be attached to whatever that is, whatever that looks like. Just be continually letting go and then picking up again. And I like that analogy. So again, the only way out is in. It is by turning inward that we create a world of joy, love, and light, and laughter. So Sadhguru had 5 tips to be joyful. He says, daily account of whether you are becoming more joyful. So are you becoming more joyful? How joyful are you? Are you joyful?
Yes. Yes.
How much joy do you bring others? Yes. Number 2, you are mortal. Life is brief. So remember that. Number 3, take charge of your happiness. Karma is action in your doing. So if you're getting some bad karma, then that's probably a reflection of something that's been done. Keep everything aside that's not you before going to bed. So anything that doesn't belong to you, I have teenagers, I have a lot of drama. It doesn't belong to me, I don't need to own it. It's very hard as an empath not to do that, but I need to let it go. And I'm finding now that I'm not reacting to the drama and not trying to fix the drama or attach myself to the drama and own it, that life is a lot more peaceful. And then devote 5 minutes every day to love. So,
Yeah.
yes. So with that, I want to play a song.
You're singing in your chair.
Okay.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Was a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Never understood a single word he said, but I helped him drink his wine. Yeah, he always had somebody fine wine. Singing joy to the world. All of us girls. oceans and the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me.